This is a Korean fir, abies koreana, and this particular cultivar is called Horstmann silberlocke. As you can see, the needles are curled to show the underside of the needle, which has lots of white glaucous material, which overall gives the tree kind of a frosted look, almost as if someone sprayed it down with artificial snow. Now this particular one has had some troubles. For whatever reason, when it arrived, the top of it kind of died out. The needles fell off and the branches died. So I've got a little wire here where I'm trying to train one of these branches up here to be the new vertical leader. We'll see if that works. It's going to take several years if this one does become the new leader, but eventually it could regain apical dominance there. The other interesting thing about this one is that it did form a cone. I think this is actually the first fir cone that I've had out of any of the fir trees that I have. So that's interesting. That means this one is a female. Here's another Korean fir, abies koreana, horstmann silberlocke. And this one and the other one both came from coniferkingdom.com, which is a great online nursery, especially if you want to buy this particular cultivar and species. This is what the top should look like. And this is a little bit smaller, but overall the form is better because the top has not died out. Here's another Korean fir. This one is just abies koreana glauca. And this one has also had lots of trouble. You can see the top died here too. This one actually kind of arrived like this, where the top was dead. And this one came from singingtreegardens.com, so I wasn't really happy with the fact that they shipped me such a damaged fir tree, but I'm going to keep it in the ground and see if maybe this back one here can become the new vertical leader over time. And you can see it doesn't have the curled needles, so that's the normal straight needles of Korean fir. And here's something that is partially Korean fir. This is actually a hybrid fir that came from coniferkingdom.com. It's a coreocarpa, so it's hybrid with Korean fir and subalpine fir. So that's abies koreana and abies lasiocarpa. You can see it has a nice blue foliage, straight needles in this case. Pretty small specimen. I'm hoping over time it will get larger and taller. It's grafted onto something, I forget, maybe even grafted onto abies firma. And the other two Korean firs I showed you were grafted onto abies firma. The two Horstmann silberlockes. I don't know what that glauca Korean fir was grafted onto. Maybe nothing. Okay, here's the apex of my largest Korean fir. Once again, the Horstmann silberlocke. You can see it's got nice verticality finally, but that's after a couple years of training it to be vertical. You can see that nice apex there, starting to take the pyramidal shape. As I mentioned, these are usually grafted onto abies firma rootstock, which is the best choice you can make if you're growing these in the south, because abies firma rootstock is resistant to Phytophthora root rot. Conifer Kingdom has an entire section of conifers grafted onto firma for this reason. So if you're looking for this on that website, go to the Own Firma section of the fir department. And you can see there's the curled needles with the white undersides. And these are almost always cuttings from a larger tree that are grafted onto that rootstock. So this particular one started out kind of growing in one direction because it was a side branch that only put off branches on one side. You can see here there's branches here on this side, but nothing on the back side. And I kept it staked once again at this node, no branches in this direction other than a few small ones here, but most in the other direction. And then as we kept moving up, here's another node, no branches in this direction over here to the right, but there's a bunch of stuff. So this was, imagine this was a branch laying flat like this, and these are all branches going up towards the sun, or they've just kind of turned it vertical like this. And here now finally that it's gone vertical on its own, you can see the buds are finally facing the other direction here. There's plenty going the other way, and even at the apex there's one going the other way. So when it finally achieves the verticality, the distribution of buds will straighten out. and the tree will become more symmetrical over time. But I think you can see right now, looking down from above, there's hardly anything on this half of the tree over here, and then everything is growing that way. So watch out for that when you get the grafted trees. Just keep them staked for as many growing seasons as it takes for the tree to reestablish its vertical tendency, and eventually it will do that. And hopefully this one is starting to increase its growth speed. Firs also start off pretty slow when they're young and then speed up, I guess, when they hit their teenage years or whatever. But this one has been in the ground for maybe 4 years or so, and this last growing season was the largest by far. You can see it put on, must be close to 8 or 9 inches of vertical growth there, and then it's just going to keep speeding up from there. So great tree, interesting tree. I can't wait to see what it looks like when it gets bigger. But if you want something that has a very frosted look to it, this is probably the best one on the market, and they're pretty common. You don't have to get them only from Conifer Kingdom. Multiple places have it, but at least at Conifer Kingdom you know what it's grafted onto. So the quality is definitely there.